Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to another interesting session of the Astro Club. So today we're going to learn a very interesting topic that is about the James Webb Space Telescope. So the James Webb Space Telescope is NASA's revolutionary new space telescope that was launched on 25th December, that is yesterday. All of you might have got to know about it in the news, right? Do you all know that James Webb Space Telescope was launched yesterday? Do you all know about it?
No, Akka.
That James Webb Space Telescope was launched yesterday. Okay, so we're going to discuss about that. So on the eve of Christmas, yesterday on 20th December, the James Webb Space Telescope was launched. So the main aim of this telescope is to find the alien life on other planets. Alien life in the sense, the life which is not on our planet, but on other planets, which is going to be a turning point of science forever. So we're going to learn more about this James Webb Space Telescope and all of that. But before we learn about this James Webb Telescope, first let's learn some basics of what a telescope is and all of that. So have you ever looked up at the night sky and wished you could see the moon so close? A telescope could help you with that. So if you can see here, we may, when we were young or even now, we'll be observing the night sky and we always want to see the stars and moon so close. So with the help of an instrument called a telescope, you could easily see all of those things in the sky very close. Okay, so now moving on to what is a telescope? A telescope is an instrument that is used to look at objects that are far away by gathering light. Sun and stars, moon, all of these things are very far away from us. You can't see with the naked eye directly. So with the help of telescope, you could see all of those distant objects very close. Okay. The word telescope comes from the Greek word teleskopos, which means far seeing. So that's the origin of the word telescope. It comes from a Greek word teleskopos, which means far seeing. Did you all understand till here?
Yes. Yes, Akka.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So telescopes are important tools in astronomy. People generally use telescopes to look at objects in outer space, like planets, stars, and comets, or the outer space objects we can look with the help of telescopes. Sometimes telescopes are used to observe things here on Earth, like interesting wildlife from a distance. So in the forests and zoos, if you want to observe the wildlife from a distance, you use telescopes and all of that. Similarly, these telescopes can also be used to look at distant objects in the space and in the sky. Okay. So great astronomers like Galileo and Newton used the idea of normal telescope that was used on land and at sea and pointed them at the sky in order to observe the stars. So if you can see here, Galileo, he's explaining to these people. These were the earlier telescopes in olden days. You see here 1624, the Dutch telescope. So in the olden days, the telescopes used to be like this. Normally, in those days, telescopes were were always used to observe the things on land and at sea. But these people like Galileo, Newton, what they did, once they pointed it to the sky, they pointed this telescope to the sky to observe the things in space. So that's in order to observe the stars and all of those things. So that's how the telescopes evolved. Okay, is it clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Akka.
You all understand? Did you all understand till here?
Yes, Akka.
Yes,
Okay.
Akka.
Yeah. So since then, advancements in technology have made telescopes much better and much easier to use. So then many telescopes have evolved. You can see different types of telescopes here: radio telescope, infrared telescope, optical telescope, and ultraviolet telescope. So like this, many different types of telescopes have evolved since then. So it's really amazing how far the humans have come. In the last 50 years or so, astronomers have launched and used telescopes that are actually already based in space. Normally, telescope in a sense, what we usually think, it should be based on the ground. On the ground, we need to keep the telescope and we should observe. But since the last 50 years, some telescopes have been launched in the sky itself. Okay, into the space. The telescopes have been launched into space. So that the super technical telescopes, when launched into space, they stay there for a long time and work to collect light from all type of distant objects in space. So what these telescopes do when they are launched into space, they collect light from all the distant objects in space. And these telescopes beam back the light and data. They just then give back to the Earth the light and data that is amplified from millions of miles away. Even the things which are millions of miles away can be easily amplified with the help of the telescopes, can be easily seen with the help of telescope. It's amazing what these telescopes pick up. These telescopes really do tell us so much about the universe. We can get to know everything about the universe with the help of these telescopes. Earlier, the telescopes were based on the ground, but now since past 50 years, the telescopes are based on the sky also, the space also, okay? The most best known and famous space telescopes are Hubble Space Telescope and Kepler Space Telescope. We may know, we may have an idea about these telescopes already. So these are the famous space telescopes. They are not based on the ground, but they are based on the space itself. Okay. Is it clear till here?
Yes, Akka.
Okay. So Hubble Space Telescope and Kepler Space Telescope. So the next today our topic is a James Webb Space Telescope. The James Webb Space Telescope is a successor of Hubble Space Telescope. So after Hubble Space Telescope, now the James Webb Space Telescope was launched yesterday. So the name was given in honor of former NASA director James Webb. So the former NASA director, his name is James Webb. So on his honor, this telescope is named as James Webb Space Telescope. So today we are going to learn some interesting facts about James Webb Space Telescope. More than 200 scientists and engineers collectively worked for more than 10 years to build the largest and the most powerful space telescope ever built. So see, building this space telescope took more than 10 years and more than 200 scientists and engineers worked to build the telescope. And this James Webb Space Telescope is the largest and the most powerful telescope ever built. Okay, so it is developed by NASA and collectively with European Space Agency and Canadian Space Agency. Okay, and it was launched from French Guiana. Yesterday only it was launched. So it was launched from French Guiana. So this James Webb Space Telescope is very, very big. You can see it's about the same size as a tennis court and about as tall as a 3-story building. So it's very, very big. So it is so big that it has to be folded into an origami style. You know, origami, craft we do. How do we fold a
Yes,
paper?
Akka.
In a similar way, we need to fold this James Webb Space Telescope and it should be fit inside the rocket to launch. Because it's very, very big, we can't directly send it to space. It has to be folded and then fit in the rocket and then to be launched into the space. Okay. So the James Webb Space Telescope sees the universe in light that is invisible to human eyes. So since earlier times, all the telescopes used to see the objects with visible light only. Like what light we can see, that light only the telescopes also used to see. But now this James Webb Space Telescope, it sees the universe in invisible light also. The light which we cannot see, the objects in the light which we cannot see, but this James Webb Space Telescope can see. It is highly advanced space telescope. So this invisible light is called as an infrared radiation and we can feel it as heat. So if you can see here in this picture, on the left side here, there is a lot of fog and smoke. You can't see anything here. But if we use infrared cameras, we can see the person has fallen here. The person fell here on the ground. So the firefighters, they use the infrared cameras to see and rescue people through the smoke in a fire. Suppose anywhere fire accident has taken place and everything is covered with smoke. We can't see any people there because everything is so foggy and so smoky. But the firefighters use infrared cameras. With the help of infrared cameras, they can see the objects in the invisible light also. In the similar manner, the James Webb Space Telescope will also use infrared cameras to see through dust in our universe. Normally, can we see anything through dust and smoke? Can you see anything?
No, Akka.
No. Through dust and smoke, we can't see anything. But this James Webb Space Telescope can see because it has infrared cameras. It can see through dust in our universe and stars and planets from inside these dust clouds. So peeking inside could lead to exciting new discoveries. So everything it can observe, even the minute details. Even if a small insect is flying near the surface of moon, that small insect also this James Webb Space Telescope can see. So it has so much of magnifying power. It will also be able to see objects like the first galaxies. First galaxy means when the universe was formed, what galaxies were there. The first galaxies also it can see. The expansion of universe has made the light shift from visible to infrared. Earlier, those first galaxies were visible to us, but as the universe is expanding continuously, now they became infrared. Infrared means invisible. So this James Webb Space Telescope can even see those invisible galaxies also. The first galaxies that are very, very far away can be seen with the help of this James Webb Telescope. Is it clear till here?
Yes, Akka.
Okay. What about others? Did you all understand?
Yes, Akka.
Okay. Now, so the James Webb Space Telescope's cameras are sensitive to heat from the sun. Just like we wear a hat to block the sun from our eyes. We wear a hat, right, to block us from the, or to protect us from the sun. In a similar manner, the James Webb Telescope also has a sun shield to protect its instruments and mirrors, because it's going to the extensive heat side, so it should resist all of those. So it has a sun shield here to protect its instruments and mirrors. The telescope's sun shield is about the size of a tennis court. So it's also very large and very big. It uses giant gold-coated mirrors to see the universe. The bigger the mirror, the more details the telescope can see. Okay, if the mirror is big, then a lot of observations it can make. It's very difficult to launch a giant and heavy mirror into space. We can't directly launch this heavy mirror into space because it is very big in size. So the engineers gave the James Webb Telescope 18 smaller mirrors like a puzzle. So these 18 smaller mirrors were arranged like a puzzle, and after it was launched it goes into its orbit, then all of these 18 small mirrors, they like unfold themselves to one large mirror. Did you all get this point?
Yes.
These 18 smaller mirrors, they then unfold themselves in orbit into one larger mirror. Okay, so it's like a puzzle and everything. So we may get it out. Why is it made of gold? We can make it with any other color. Why is it made of gold only? Because a thin layer of gold helps the mirrors to reflect the infrared light. So what the infrared light is coming towards these mirrors can reflect. So Hubble Space Telescope's mirror was like very basic, normal, like a small circle itself. But James Webb Space Telescope mirror is, it's made up of, as we have seen, 18 smaller mirrors. These mirrors are made from beryllium and are coated with 48.25 grams of gold. And see, its diameter is 6.5 meters, so it's very large. So a thin layer of gold helps the mirrors reflect the infrared light. So our solar system is not the only home for planets. Scientists have discovered thousands of planets orbiting the stars other than our sun. Not only our sun and everything. Beyond the solar system, a lot more life is there, a lot more exciting things are there. So James Webb Space Telescope will help to study the atmosphere of the exoplanets. So could the atmosphere of some exoplanets help build the blocks of light? We will find out soon. So yesterday only this James Webb Space Telescope was launched, and it takes 1 month to travel. Still it is traveling only. It takes 1 month to travel, and then it will reach its orbit. So it will nearly take 3 months for the James Webb Telescope to give its first picture. It will click a picture and send back to Earth, right? So it will take nearly 3 months for this telescope to click a picture and send back to Earth. So it's like a time machine. If you have seen the news and everything, everybody think the headlines like it's like a time machine, because even the first galaxies, when the Big Bang theory occurred, what happened, all of this past life, it is going to observe and going to send us all the information. Okay, so it's like a time machine. Did you all understand this concept about James Webb Space Telescope?
Yes,
Yes,
Akka.
Okay, so now let's watch a video. Let's watch a small video about this James Webb Space Telescope. Okay, so is it visible?
Yes, Akka.
Yes, Akka.
Okay. See, the James Webb Space Telescope has been successfully launched from French Guiana. The $10 billion telescope. So the cost of this telescope is $10 billion. So it is the biggest space telescope built to date. Till now, this is the biggest space telescope ever built. It is so powerful that it can detect heat signature of a bumblebee from the moon. I've explained that even if a small insect is on the surface of moon, this space telescope can easily detect that. So it has so much of magnifying capacity. Did you get the point?
Yes, Akka.
Yeah. It took scientists and engineers like 25 years to build the James Webb Space Telescope. It's a time machine that will look more than 13 billion years back in time. Just imagine, not 1 year, 2 years, 13 billion years it will look back in time and show us the first stars and galaxies of the universe. So the Webb will orbit the sun at the L2 point, a million miles away from us, opposite our planet. So that is the orbit of the James Webb Space Telescope. See, it is rotating like this. No mission can send astronauts to this point and safely return them to Earth. So at the peak point, this James Webb Space Telescope is going to rotate. So if anything goes wrong with this telescope, there is no manual way to fix it like Hubble Space Telescope. So earlier in the case of Hubble Space Telescope, if any mistake has occurred, we can, like astronauts can go there and fix it. But if something wrong happens to the James Webb Telescope, we cannot fix it because it is very difficult to go near that orbit. NASA says there are over 300 ways that this telescope could fail because it's going deeper into the universe, right? So we don't know what might happen. There are 300 ways it can fail. So everything has to work perfectly for the telescope to function. After its launch, there are two important tasks the Webb has to accomplish. So after the launch, two important things are there for this telescope to do. The first one is unfolding its mirror segments. I've explained 18 mirrors are there. It is fit like a puzzle into the rocket, and all of them should unfold to form a bigger mirror. So that is the first task. See, 18 golden hexagonal mirror segments are there. The second task is to deploy its tennis court sized sun shield. I've explained about the sun shield, right, to protect it from the sun. So it should open the sun shield by itself. So these two tasks are very important for the James Webb Space Telescope. So this telescope can look at regions of the cosmos that were out of Hubble's reach. So earlier Hubble Space Telescope looked for a particular distance only. Beyond that, now this telescope is going to look. James Webb Telescope will operate at 45 Kelvin. That is minus 228.1 degrees Celsius. So this heat shield comprises of 5 layers, if you can see. It can take up 3 months for the telescope to snap the first picture because still it is traveling only. It has not reached the orbit. Are you all able to understand the concept?
Yes, Akka.
Okay. The space telescope will also join forces with the iconic Event Horizon Telescope. So the Event Horizon Telescope released the first picture of black hole in 2019. Now this James Webb Space Telescope will directly attempt to snap the black hole at the heart of our galaxy. It will also study the objects present beyond the Neptune's orbit. We don't know what is the beyond Neptune, like all the quasars, pulsars we have discussed, like Oort cloud and all. So it will capture pictures of all of this. So before this James Webb Telescope, NASA launched already 4 telescopes like Hubble, Chandra Spitzer, and Compton Space Telescopes. None of them has found the signs of alien life in the universe. Is there life on other planets? We don't know. So now this James Webb Telescope will try to look for artificial lights on the nearest exoplanets. If there are artificial lights, it means that there is alien life. And this telescope will also help to solve the mystery of dark matter and dark energy. So it's a very, very powerful telescope that will change the world of science altogether. So it's a turning point in the history of science. Yeah. So did you understand about the James Webb Space Telescope?
Yes, Akka.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess, so now the thing is, all of you just, it's like an interactive time now. So all of you just try to give me one point what you have learned in today's session about James Webb Space Telescope. Just feel free, just unmute your mic and just give a point, what you have learned.
Akka, it is a telescope which can see.
Your voice is low, Ramcharan. I can't hear you clearly.
Now, can you hear, Akka?
Yeah.
It is a telescope which we can see into the space to see space living organisms like aliens.
Okay. What about others? Other students just unmute and yeah, Pradhamini, give me a point.
This space telescope has 18 mirrors in it, which had a thin layer of gold.
Okay. What about others? Any other point?
Akka, can I tell?
Akka Tianish will tell one point, it seems.
Yeah, give me a point now.
It can capture very far galaxies from our Earth.
Okay. What about others? Last point. Any one more point? Yeah, Ramcharan.
Akka, it can see the light which humans can't see.
Okay.
And it uses a camera called infrared
Yeah.
camera.
Okay. Right. Okay, so that's all about the James Webb Space Telescope. So, and that's all for today's session. Okay, then we'll meet in the next session.